Thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. Thank you to Minute Demo. It's great to be on stage at the Ordway. I'm Troy Rogers. I am a composer and musical robot maker and educator from Duluth. Since I moved back to Minnesota about 4 years ago, I've been exploring the possibilities of life as a early 21st century semi-nomadic robot herder and what that might mean. So these are my instruments. I have some drums. Yeah, if I could get a little more low end, just a little bit. And then I have two instruments here that were made with my collaborators in a group I co-founded called Expressive Machines, Stephen Kemper and Scott Barton. The first one is a guitar-like robot called Ami. So that's that one. The blue tube upright is a sort of robotic clarinet-like instrument, and it sounds like that. And you know, otherwise. Behind me on this cart is an instrument called stemmetje. Stemmetje is a Dutch word which means the little voice. And so that instrument sounds... two vocal formants. Now, if that doesn't immediately suggest the human voice, it's two tunable Helmholtz resonators. So, you know, a bottle, an ocarina, those are Helmholtz resonators. They're tunable. It works a little bit like how we work when we speak vowels. So if I say oo or e, if I shift between those vowels a bit, raise your hand if you can hear some higher sort of whistling tones above the main pitch. Right, so I can isolate those. You can all do that if you practice in the shower or the stairway. It's fun. So that's the instruments. Those are the basics of sort of how they work. I use a computer. I use software called MaxMSP. I have custom algorithms so that the robots can listen and improvise with human performers or do my bidding in various ways. And that sends out data to Arduino microcontrollers embedded within each of the instruments that send out on and off messages or other messages to electromagnetic actuators, which, when they get those numbers, do what you just heard, and you'll hear it a little bit more in a minute. But I want to talk a little bit about, these are primitive, right? I mean, humans have been making music with automated machines for at least 2 millennia that we know of, since Hero of Alexandria in 1 BC made automated water organs. So this is just the beginning. For the last 15 years, I've been thinking about what it might mean. What do these instruments offer in terms of new capabilities, new musical experiences? What kinds of new genres might they spur on? And those are still small questions, because if, as an artist, you view yourself as an applied futurist, then that begs larger questions. And I think the one I keep bumping up against over and over again, the one that all of us in this room for sure, and everyone should be thinking about is, will humans, will our children and their children survive our technological adolescence? And I think if we're honest, and we look at the current trajectory that we're on in various ways, the answer is maybe not. In fact, depending on how you want to view it, it might be probably not. So let's take the worst case scenario. What does that mean for me as a musical roboticist? Perhaps I should be thinking about making post-human droid core for the robotic remnants of other failed planets, right? I've thought about this. I might launch a crowdsource funding campaign to construct a microsatellite with a pressurized chamber hosting a vocal robot, launch it into graveyard orbit, and have that sing "We Are All Fucked" for the next 5 billion years until the sun swallows the earth. That's a, possibility. But I also like to think, and I believe that as humans, we are amplifiers of low probabilistic states. And when we come together and synergize, we can become a fluid power, like the fresh waters of the unsalted sea that is Lake Superior that I jump into every morning, and we may be unstoppable. We may be able to reach the stars. Let's say we could. That offers an interesting possibility. What if future artists have access to mega squirms of robotic terraforming worms that are not only making habitable planets, but they are super orchestras of the future, creating these symphonic forms that are planet-wide. Now, okay, let's take that idea for a minute. I'm an applied futurist, so I do not merely speculate, I experiment. The first step towards that might be, if it were me living in Duluth, Minnesota, to build in the next 3 months, a robot that can dig itself into the earth, burrow down and extract valuable minerals like copper or nickel, and process them subterraneanly, leaving behind the 99+% of what would become toxic acid waste if it's brought to the surface, leaving it behind, processing it subterraneanly, and bringing it to the surface. Now, let's just say that was possible. I think it might be. I think this is stitchable technology. I think we could build it in Minnesota. That would obviate the need for the inefficient, antiquated, environmentally destructive sulfide mines that are being proposed in my beloved home of northern Minnesota. So there are those ideas. I also do a lot of work with STEAM education. These make a great platform. I said they were simple before. I've done 2-week camps for 5th and 6th graders where they build a robotic drum set from scratch. You cover all kinds of things. We need more applied futurists. We need more artists. And so if any of this resonates with you, if you're interested in actually seeing whether I'm not just some crazy person with a bunch of musical robots, we should chat. My info's up there. I'm going to give you a little taste of the robots all together. This is a piece of music called Mechaglossalia, which means, machines speaking in voices. We know. You know. Gives you a little taste.